Hey, what is going on, everybody? How are you all doing today? I hope you all are having a wonderful and fantastic day today, and if not, hopefully you all will have a better tomorrow. So, today I wanted us to have a discussion about what the members of Team RWBY, what their characters were based off of, and I just wanted to talk about this because I thought this might be interesting, and also at the same time, these characters were actually inspired by a couple of different things. So sit back, relax, I hope you all enjoy, and let's jump right on into this discussion. So, looking at it, Ruby herself is who we'll start with, and thinking about Ruby, Ruby obviously was based off Little Red Riding Hood, because that's what her character alludes to. And when you look at this design, you can obviously tell that Ruby was based off Little Red Riding Hood because of the hood. That's the biggest thing that really gives this away. And if you look at the hood and the cloak, obviously they're red, which is obviously alluding back to Little Red Riding Hood. That's the biggest reason. But looking at it too, another comparison to Little Red Riding Hood, this is Ruby's story. This is her journey. And considering that this is her adventure, Little Red Riding Hood went through an adventure herself, going on her way to her grandmother's house. And these characters are all related to fairy tales, and this is how Ruby herself is actually related to a fairy tale character. So when you actually look at this as well, the big thing about Ruby 2, besides the fact of her being alluded to Little Red Riding Hood, another thing that shows this is when she fights the Beowulfs in the first trailer. In the red trailer, she obviously is seen only fighting Beowulfs. There are no other Grimm that she is fighting. And this goes about the idea of Little Red Riding Hood being chased by the big bad wolf. Looking at the red trailer and comparing that to Red Riding Hood's story, that's actually a really good comparison, as well as showing that Ruby was actually based off said character, and I do like that. Now, on to the next character is actually Weiss. Now, this one's actually a very interesting one, I think, because Weiss herself is actually based off of Snow White, and it's kind of funny behind that because even though Snow White was not based off all white colors, looking at Weiss herself, the primary color of her character, which would be her hair, and in volumes 1 through 3, her outfit being white, and Weiss's actual name in German means white snow. So when you look at this, this is obviously a play on the idea of snow and white. So Weiss's character having the primary colors of white actually makes a lot of sense. And I think that's actually a really cool idea that was thrown into her character to be related to Snow White. But not only this, but she sings of a mirror. That is one of the biggest important things, because if you actually look at the story of Snow White, and if you think about that, and you think about the way Weiss sings, because mirror, mirror on the wall, and then you look at Weiss, her theme is called Mirror, Mirror, and if you look at a lot of her themes, she's referring to looking in the mirror and obviously hoping to be saved from her isolation as well as the problems within her life and changing everything. So it's actually a pretty good play on that. And looking at this too, her pendant from her volumes 1 through 3 outfit looked like an apple. So it's a pretty good play on Snow White there. Now, let's look at Blake. If you look at her character, Blake alludes to Belle from Beauty and the Beast, because Belle, meaning beauty in French, which is also the heroine of Beauty and the Beast, and having the name Bella in her last name, which Bella in Italian actually means beauty. So, if you actually look at that, that's a pretty cool take on this idea. And this actually falls in line with Blake, but if you look at Adam as well, Adam himself is supposed to represent the beast. And that is supposed to be the story between Blake and Adam. There is supposed to be Beauty and the Beast reference, because Adam, since he refers to the beast, the rose emblem that he actually has is supposed to be in reference to the beast as well. So if you actually think about that, that is their big idea behind the Beauty and the Beast reference. I actually like this take on the two characters here, but since this is Blake, it's actually a good way to put it there. And when you look at what Blake has explained about Adam, and about how he's a spiteful person, it's kind of like saying the abuse between Blake and Adam is kind of in relation to what Beauty and the Beast was, the story of love and abuse. And you can tell there was a lot of thought put into the idea behind Blake and Adam, and I like the relation that they tried to put to Beauty and the Beast here with these two characters. I think that it's actually a pretty good idea on what they've done for them. Now, looking at Yang herself is actually based off Goldilocks from the story of the Three Bears. Now you're probably thinking that sounds a bit strange considering that Yang has not had a whole lot of an issue with bears, But looking at her hair obviously is blonde, which is supposed to be in reference to Goldilocks, and she has long hair, and her hair is something that is very important to her character. But the next thing that you have to actually think about when it comes to Yang, she's actually fought a decent amount of bears. She fought two Ursai, which are relation to bears in the Emerald Forest. Next, the DJ at Junior's Club was actually wearing an actual mask of a bear. So when you actually think about that too, the cool thing here is that those are in references to the actual bears. Now, Goldilocks herself didn't really fight bears, but it's a pretty different take, and I think that it makes the story a little bit more interesting. Besides, another bit of a relation between Yang and Goldilocks is Goldilocks is searching for something. She searches for porridge, she searches for a place to stay. Looking at Yang, what is she doing? She's searching for her mother. That's what the ideal was back in the beginning of RWBY, was for her to find Raven. So this is actually a pretty good take on the whole Goldilocks scenario, and I actually like that myself. Now, when you look at it though, there's another bit of information here when you look at it that relates to the members of Team RWBY that they also could allude to, that could actually reference to them. Now this one's actually a very interesting way to look at it, which would be the reference of flowers. Now, Team RWBY, which you're probably thinking, that's a bit strange, would be in some reference to flowers, which could be possible. And if you look at why I'm going to explain here the reference of flowers, is because look at Ruby, for example. Ruby rose, crescent rose, and her emblem being that of a rose. So Ruby has a big emphasis on roses. And if you also look, the petals that she emits in battle with her semblance, rose. So obviously you could really affiliate Ruby with roses because of all the references to the roses. And when thinking about it, you can really see the reference here to the roses because of all these rose implications within everything, such as her name and her weapon and even the petals and her emblem. All these show a reference to petals. So it's not just a fairy tale reference, which would be to Red Riding Hood, but this shows the reference to obviously roses. So that's actually an interesting take on RWBY. Now, the next character to look at here is actually Weiss. Now, when looking at Weiss, it's not so much Weiss as the reference, more so as it is her own weapon this time. So Mirnaster is actually the reference to flowers. And how is that? So Mirnaster is based on Mirnaster, the German translation for a family of flowers, which is known as Myrtaceae, that are typically found to be white. So this type of flower is a flower that is typically found to be white. And now this is where the reference comes into Weiss yet again, because it goes back onto her main color palette being white, therefore leading into Snow White, which is the character she is based off of. So when you look at this, it really leads into Weiss's color palette being white, being her primary color, being referenced to Snow White. So it's actually funny. So you can definitely tell the intended idea for Weiss was the color white. So that's pretty funny when you think about it. Now, looking at Blake, Blake is actually referenced by her own name because her surname being Belladonna. And if you actually think about Belladonna, it is a name of a deadly nightshade. So when looking at Blake herself, you can definitely see that because of her last name as well as her emblem, she is referred to the nightshade. So that is actually her own reference to an actual flower being that of the nightshade, as I said. So now, looking at Yang, this is a big one because it's more upon her Imbecilica. Now, when looking at the Imbecilica, this is a strange one because it's not so much a flower, but Yang's Imbecilica could actually be named after the type of hot bell pepper, which is known as the silica, which can also be yellow. And if you look at the Imbecilica, they're obviously painted yellow. And this is seen in her symbol as well, which resembles both a bell pepper and a heart. So it's kind of mixed in with both there. And that's why hers is a bit different. But you can see the reference here, and I kind of like the idea because if you think about it, it really refers to Yang's personality more so than anything else, considering of her, anger issues from time to time, having her tantrums, and then a hot pepper being spicy. So I actually like that. So Maybe this taught you all something about RWBY you didn't know before. Maybe you knew about all of this already, but I thought it was some pretty good information about what Team RWBY was actually based off of. I actually like knowing what their characters are based off of, and I think they were pretty cool ideas. So I just want to give you all a little heads up. I have a little something for you all I've worked on a little bit, and a little bit of a teaser coming out in the next video. So look forward to that when it comes out. But anyways, let me know what you think down below. Do you agree? Do you disagree? Let me know in the comments down below. But anyways, thank you all for watching. I hope you all enjoyed. And if you did enjoy, hit the video with a like, subscribe if you want to see more content like this, and share this to your friends if you found this informative or useful. Well, anyways, I hope you all have yourselves a wonderful and fantastic day today. And remember, if today was not a good day, tomorrow could always be better. Take care of yourselves and everyone around you. And I hope you all have yourselves a great day out there, everybody.